Hi again, everybody, and welcome to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. I'm Harry Donahue, and today we have a full-packed show for you. CBS 3's Kate Bilo gets another lesson from Overbrook pro Eric Kennedy. You know, the hybrid has been one of the most innovative clubs in golf in several years. And today, Kate gets a lesson on the use of the hybrid. We go back to the USGA headquarters. John Spitzer gives us a tour of the archives room. Also, Dr. Paul Marketo from the Rothman Institute talks about wrist injuries. We'll have our traveling golfer segment, a look at Grand Cypress in Orlando, and a revisit with Jan Stevenson, as Jan goes back in time to tell us about how she and other women really did so much to put a new face on the game of women's golf. Coming up next on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth. By PGN Plus, play your golf bucket list. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.
Whether you are beginning to plan for your future, building your nest egg, or nearing retirement, Susquehanna Wealth Management will take the time to understand your unique situation and provide a customized, comprehensive strategy. From investment management and trust services to retirement planning for you or your business, we can help you develop a long-term plan to meet your specific financial goals. We understand that through life stages, your needs and financial objectives change. No matter where you are in life or how much wealth you have accumulated, we're always available to sit down with you to review your plan and adjust it as necessary. Susquehanna Wealth Management.
Susquehanna Wealth Management,
helping you build,
manage, and preserve wealth.
At this moment, across the country, families are packing their bags for a getaway. And no matter where they end up, they'll all be home by dinner. Plan your own at playgolfamerica.com. From finding fun and affordable programs to finding advice from PGA and LPGA professionals, playgolfamerica.com has a way for you to get away. Visit today for details. playgolfamerica.com, your link to the game.
Now, in theory, this should go a little bit further than the 6 hybrid. May not be noticeably different, but if you hit it...
Welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Once again, this week we have CBS 3's Kate Bilo getting a lesson from Overbrook head professional Eric Kennedy, as Eric shows Kate what has become a very important club in just about every golfer's bag.
What I suggest for people that are getting ready to play golf, one is you need a club to hit off the tee. Obviously, we need something to get us off the tee. And if you have, the drivers of today are pretty forgiving. I mean, they've got gigantic heads on them, and if you have some decent technique, having a good driver is maybe the most important part of the game, because it's going to determine how you play the hole. You're either going to play it defensively or offensively, and if you get a ball in play somewhere, it's great. Secondly, you need a club that you are comfortable hitting off the ground, because almost every shot you hit in golf, minus the tee shots, you're going to be hitting off the ground. So. Fairway woods are exceptionally difficult for beginner golfers. They're probably the most difficult club for anyone to hit. It has the least amount of loft. There's a very small margin of error, and it's difficult to get it airborne. So that's why hybrids came along. Hybrids are like irons on steroids, right? So this would be like this is a 6 hybrid. So most people go, up to like a 7 iron, and then sometimes a 6 iron, and then they go into bags of hybrids. The idea behind this is that you can hit this much easier to get it up off the ground, much easier to hit it for distance, and it's very, very forgiving. So the swings we were making with our 8 iron, we should be able to make a very similar swing with a 6 hybrid. And what I would suggest when we go play is that you need to find one of these hybrids, a 6 or a 5 hybrid that you're pretty confident with, that once you get off the tee, that you can use that for your fairway shots.
Okay.
At this point in anyone's game, a bag full of clubs looks great, but they're not practical for you, because you're not going to hit their distance gaps the way you should. I mean, you're going to hit your 8 iron and your 7 iron and your 9 iron close to the same distances right now until you kind of create a little bit more speed and consistency, because you got to hit the middle of the club face more often. A 6 hybrid may be a club, and we'll kind of experiment, maybe the club that we hit the furthest off the ground at this point. And if that's the case, makes decision making on the golf course easy. You get out there, you hit your tee shot, you grab your 6 hybrid, you hit it up in front of the green, and then we work on our chipping and our putting and things like that.
Okay.
So that's our goal for today, is find you a club that you can hit comfortably off the tee with the most amount of distance. We'll start with the 6 hybrid, and we'll also hit the 5 hybrid, but if we hit one better than the other, that's the one we're going to go with. So
That's the one we're comfortable with. Okay.
make a couple practice swings with it, get familiar with the fact that it's a little longer than your 8-iron. Beautiful. Can you show me something that looks similar to that with a golf ball?
Let's try it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That was nice.
So what
job,
you'll
Phil.
find is the reason these clubs came into being is that, you know, once you get to about a 5-iron, club's a very flat face. Most people can't generate the amount of speed they need to get it up in the air. So they started building these clubs that take the place of the long irons. And they're meant to hit out of almost any lie. I mean, you can hit that ball out of a divot, you can hit it off a tee, or you can hit it off the fairway or the rough. It's the most versatile club in the bag. And everyone should have at least one in their bag, and most people have multiples. So we're going to hit this one a few times and see how we like it.
Feels
It's the
good.
same golf swing. Kate, you have not been practicing, is that right?
I have not,
Wow.
really. No, I've been thinking about practicing.
It's just an easy game, isn't it?
No, it's not. But maybe I'm out of my own head now that I'm...
Well, the good thing about you is that your swing, despite the fact that we've only had a chance to work together 4 times, you haven't really picked up any bad habits along the way, which,
Right.
you know, the good part about not practicing, it would be you don't pick up any bad habits.
Right.
The bad part about not practicing is you're not getting any reps in. So
Right.
these
I
are
need
our
to-
reps,
I need
but
to
you're
do better with that.
you're catching up quickly. You can see why these clubs are popular, though,
Yeah.
right? You can see why you would want to hit that
I like
club
this.
a lot,
Whew.
right?
Yeah, it goes far,
It goes
wide,
high, exactly.
Sounds nice.
These amazing Callaway Soul Air irons.
They are beautiful.
Beautiful, Kate.
Oh, that
Best
was,
swing of the day.
Yeah, that
Best
was my
swing of the
best
day.
one. Whew.
So, we know how far, we kind of got a gauge on how far that ball's going, so let's take a look at another hybrid here.
Okay.
This is our 5 hybrid, obviously. Now, in theory, this should go a little bit further than the 6 hybrid. May not be noticeably different, but if you hit it a little further, then that could be our go-to club. Take a couple practice swings with it. The length of it is almost identical. The loft on it is slightly different. Should maybe go a little lower than the 6-iron. Beautiful.
Ooh,
All right, the direction was fantastic.
went right
So-
down the middle. That's what we're aiming for.
All right, so let's go back to one practice swing with my hand, please. Beautiful. So your head's not moving to the right, it's not moving up on your backswing. Beautiful, Kate. Now what I expected is that ball flew a little lower than your 6-iron, but I wouldn't say it flew further than your 6-iron, right?
No.
So I think 6 hybrid is going to be our go-to club.
Okay.
But I do believe it's time we introduce ourselves to
Wow.
the driver.
That thing is huge.
It is indeed.
Well, that's for another day and another segment on Inside Golf. Interesting that Eric is going to the driver with Kate Bilo in his final lesson, not his first. Stay tuned, more coming up on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management.
Golf is your passion. Each round is a unique experience with memories that last a lifetime. Make your next round one to remember with PGNplus.com, the Professional Golfers Network. Sign up for free for exclusive access to the best private courses in your area. Already a country club member? Go to PGNplus.com to learn how to take your membership further. Play your golf bucket list only on PGNplus.com. Book your tee time today.
If you haven't seen it already, I'd like to introduce you to Jersey Man Magazine, published by former Eagle tight end Ken Dunnick. It's the only men's magazine in our area. Enjoy articles on cigars, politics, and, of course, golf. Written by big-time journalists. And even more exciting news. Philly Man Magazine debuts this summer. Subscriptions are only $20 a year and are available at jerseymanmagazine.com. And welcome back to Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Once again, we're up in Far Hills, New Jersey at the USGA headquarters, specifically at their test center with John Spitzer.
Good to
John,
see you, Harry.
good to see you again. John is Managing Director of Equipment Standards for the USGA. Now, we were here with John, and he took us through the process of what either does or doesn't conform in terms of a golf ball. And we saw all of the multiple testing that is done on that. And now, John, the actual equipment in terms of the face of a club,
That's
the,
right.
the
Shafts,
shafts, grips, everything to do with the actual equipment. And you have, for instance, right here, let's take a walk
This
down
is where
here.
we keep our archives of all the clubs and grips and shoes
And it dates
hats
back how long?
all the way, we have equipment all the way back from 1948 that we can use as a precedent. If we have a ruling that we say, hey, did we see a club like that in the 50s? We can go back and find that.
So as we walk down here, we see what manufacturers have submitted over the course of years, okay, obviously this is a driver head, and it was, what is that?
That's a Lynx Predator.
Predator,
Right.
Okay, and the year is 2004.
Manufacturers can submit just the heads, and we prefer that because the shafts, for instance, for a set of irons are basically the same shaft with different lengths, or they can submit full equipment. But we don't just get heads. You can see there's some shoes in here.
That, yeah, there's some shoes.
You might find some different things like devices with, it's probably broken, but this is a putting guide, so you can read the green.
Now, you made an interesting comment to me. Somebody one time was talking about the square-headed drivers, and you went back
Absolutely.
to the bins and actually found that they had been approved years ago.
Right. What happens is the golf balls, we give those away after about three or 4 years to junior golf programs to try to get kids involved in the game. But with clubs, we keep them forever. And when the first square drivers came out, people would say, oh, geez, that's not traditional. That doesn't look like a golf club. So we went back into these archives, and we found that we've had some 40-odd clubs that were actually submitted that had a square shape that were approved. So there was lots of precedent that said that was traditional and customary. So we were allowed to let that one go. Didn't have to worry about its conformance, at least the way it looked.
I would have to say probably one of the biggest steps in terms of conformity was the change from the wooden Persimmon club to the Metalhead driver.
Yep.
And I want to go back, I want to say it was probably, what, late 80s or even
That's right.
before that?
That's right, 1989.
TaylorMade?
TaylorMade,
were they the first ones?
Yeah, they had the Pittsburgh Persimmon. And you recall, we're both old enough to recall that when you first came out with that metal wood, that steel wood, it was a little bit smaller actually than the...
A lot, like today, it would probably be like a 4-wood.
Yeah, exactly. And what happens is they had to, because the head is hollow, they have to make the walls really thick in order to survive that impact. When you hit a golf ball with a golf club, there's basically 3,500 pounds of force or pass between the club to the ball. And in order to survive that kind of loading, they had to make the walls thick. And if they made them too thick and big, then that club's going to be too heavy for us to swing. So it was really small. But then lo and behold came titanium. Titanium's a much lighter, stronger metal. They were able to make the heads bigger and bigger. And we've all kind of benefited from that because now when you hit it off the toe, it doesn't have quite the bad effect that it used to when you were hitting it with a Persimmon.
I love the sound.
Yeah.
The sound was a big marketing tool, I think.
You're exactly right. And you remember when they first came out with the TaylorMades and whatnot, they used to fill them with a foam. And so they'd fill them with a foam because they didn't think people wanted that sound. And now the manufacturers actually have acoustic engineers that are fine-tuning that sound to make sure that it's nice and what the golfers like to hear. There were some clubs a few years ago that sounded pretty tin canny, and they found very quickly that golfers didn't like them.
They didn't want them.
Right.
Okay, John, now I really want to find one of those old style or original style TaylorMade driver heads. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, that was in the late 90s that we saw those.
Not there.
Oh
boy.
Okay,
there it is.
Here's a tie bubble too, a little darker color than the original burner.
Right, how about
Dick
that?
Ruggie was the former technical director, was one of the inventors of this when he was back at TaylorMade.
And he was the man who preceded
preceded me in this job.
as the managing director. Yeah, and this was the beginning.
Well,
Now, when you look at that face, that's like a rescue club today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this really turned the corner for TaylorMade. I mean, that became a very, very popular club.
Well, among the things I learned here at the test center is that a TaylorMade 99 ball, you know who hits this? Last year's winner of the U.S. Open at Merion, Justin Rose. 99. I hear his favorite hockey player was Wayne Gretzky.
What if we told you that you could get more distance by increasing loft? What if the pros were increasing their loft a full degree or more mid-season? That's what happens when we move weight low and forward. Are you ready for more distance? SLDR from TaylorMade.
American-owned, family-operated. Since 1829. No bull. Just lager. From America's oldest brewery, Yuengling.
We are introducing a new segment here on Inside Golf and are pleased to be working with Philadelphia PGA partner Rothman Institute, the region's largest orthopedic provider. Weekly segments will address common golf-related injuries, the mechanics behind these injuries, as well as recommended treatment and prevention methods that golfers can take to help manage and hopefully prevent these injuries from happening. 5 areas that we will be covering are wrist, knee, back, elbow, and shoulder. Here to help us understand how these joints operate is Dr. Paul Marketo. Dr. Marketo is a sports medicine surgeon at Rothman Institute. He is also a team physician for the Philadelphia Eagles. He'll be working with PGA professional Scott Riley with today's topic of discussion, the wrist.
All right, thanks, Leela. Hey, Doc, we're going to talk about the wrist today, okay? We tend to see some students come in, they got pain in the wrist, and I'm going to let you shed a little light on that, what's going on when they start to develop some pain.
Okay, all right, Scott. So the tendonitis of the wrist, very common as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Guys are coming in with dorsal pain or pain on the top of the wrist. When they move their hand in this position, they get really soreness and they start losing the ability to hold the club flat-wristed. You know, we try and come through the balls flat.
Mm-hmm.
And so this constant hammering or twisting of the wrist up, the tendons on this side of the wrist really get irritated, especially a right-handed golfer when he's coming through and scooping it. So they get overuse, just like in the elbow we talked about last time. The tendonitis from the wrist breaking down, banging into hard mats, you know, on a tough divot. So we recommend, again, it's a stretching issue, it's icing afterwards, it's anti-inflammatory medication, and backing off on the repetitive, repeating hammering of balls off the mat.
As instructors, we're always talking to people about their grip, and we tend to see sometimes people get the grip maybe too much in the palm of their hand, or they like to almost baseball it where their palm goes over the end of the grip. Could that lead to any issues into the wrist?
Right. Yeah, that another issue. So as you just demonstrated, when your grip is right on the tip of the wrist, there's a bone there, and you can really squeeze that bone, and if you hit something hard, the grip hits that spot and you can actually break the small bone in the wrist, causing some significant pain. They start changing their swing. You'll notice that they're starting to back off and break down when they come through. So these are the things about grip pressure, about grip position, and about banging off of hard mats. All those things seem to really do it.
And how about preventative type things, you know, aside from maybe seeing a PGA pro to get a proper grip and some of the swing mechanics, but you know, before they go out?
So at home, you know, the idea of doing the
squeeze ball, right?
Right,
Like
the
that.
tennis ball, the little squeezy that we all try to use to build up forearm strength, which stabilizes the wrist, doesn't allow it to break down. Really important for an amateur that we all are, to try and develop some strength so you can maintain the pressure of the grip in a normal sequence versus those of us that kind of break down and you know, kind of wimpy looking and really throw the club at the ball, which really gives them trouble.
All right. Thanks, Doc, for your tips. Hopefully you can practice some of these and be healthy out there when you play.
This is Grand Cypress, a beautiful resort right outside Orlando in Florida. The traveling golfer is here to experience 45 holes of Jack Nicklaus. This is the new course, Jack's tribute to St. Andrews, and we bring it all to you. The traveling golfer on another great trip, this one from Grand Cypress Resort in Orlando. Well, this is where it all begins. First tee, the South Course. Director of Golf Joe Angelino sends thousands of players off this tee every year, and that's the start of the Grand Cypress Golf Experience. Joe, what is that experience all about?
Well, Tony, we have 45 holes of Jack Nicklaus signature golf here at the resort. We have the north, the south, the east nines, and we have the new course. The north nine, you'll find more terrace fairways, small, heavily penalized greens. The south nine, you're going to find a bunch of water, some elevation changes as far as elevated greens, and then you're going to get over the east nine, you're going to find water and woods. We can make a triple cross off the north, south, and east to make 3 different 18-hole golf experiences.
But in '88, the golf landscape in Orlando took a marked change, and one for the good.
Absolutely. That's the year that Mr. Nicklaus designed and opened the new course, which is his tribute to St. Andrews, the old course. Totally different golf experience than you can get anywhere in Central Florida. You have a couple replica holes, 1 and 18 are replica holes of the famed start hole and finishing hole at St. Andrews. 18 complete with the Valley of Sin in the front left corner of the green. We have 150 pop bunkers. We have old stone bridges out there on the golf course going over Mr. Nicklaus's version of the burn. And then we even have Mr. Nicklaus's version of 17, the road hole, except for the road and the bunker going on opposite sides of the green.
The old course at St. Andrews is an acquired taste that they build a love for over the years. Is that the same type thing here? The more people play it, the more they love it?
Absolutely. You know, the great thing about the new course is, you know, just like St. Andrews, there's 14 common greens, meaning 14 greens that are sharing 2 holes at the same time. And all those shared greens add up to 18, just like St. Andrews. The golf experience on the new course is so much so like that of the old course at St. Andrews that the year that Marco O'Meara won the British Open, he and Tiger Woods actually came out here and played a practice round on the new course before they flew overseas. You can handle anywhere from your individual golfer that's coming down as a husband and wife, a foursome, buddy packages, 16, 20, 24 golfers or more. But we actually can run tournaments all the way up to a 450-man shotgun, which we've done before.
Now, Joe, the stay and play experience at Grand Cypress is really a full experience, but it's a little different from what a lot of people might think about when they think of a hotel, although you did get the hotel award.
We did, and we're very proud about that, Tony. You know, we don't have a traditional big box hotel. We have 146 golf villas. Rated in TripAdvisor by the Traveler's Choice Awards. We're number 25 in the country for luxury, but number 1 in the Orlando market, and that's over 360 hotels in this market.
A little bit different, a little unique, but the highest golf experience you can find in the entire Central Florida area. Great accommodations, incredible food, wonderful service. You'll love to come to Grand Cypress, and you'll feel the same way I do. Sorry to say goodbye. That's the word from the traveling golfer.
At this moment, across the country, families are packing their bags for a getaway. And no matter where they end up, they'll all be home by dinner. Plan your own at playgolfamerica.com. From finding fun and affordable programs to finding advice from PGA and LPGA professionals, playgolfamerica.com has a way for you to get away. Visit today for details. playgolfamerica.com, your link to the game.
Susquehanna Wealth Management is comprised of 5 distinct business lines with products and services designed to help our clients build, manage, and preserve their wealth throughout their lifetime and beyond. We have a trust department with over 80 years of history and a team of seasoned, dedicated industry professionals. We are one of the largest retirement planning firms in the tri-state area with over 50 years of experience in investment advisory services for both institutional and personal wealth clients. No matter where you are in life or how much wealth you have accumulated, we have a team of experienced professionals that can help you develop a long-term strategy to meet your unique financial goals. We are always available to sit down with you to review your plan and adjust it as necessary. We cannot help our clients get from point A to point B unless we completely understand their current situation and strategy. Like the market, life is always changing, and so must we. At Susquehanna Wealth Management, we take the time to understand your goals, analyze your situation, and provide a customized, comprehensive strategy on an ongoing basis.
Jan Stevenson gained notoriety as a professional women's golfer in the 1970s when she broke out on the LPGA Tour and was named the LPGA Rookie of the Year in 1974. She went on to win 3 majors and a total of 16 LPGA Tour events, all while helping to change the face of ladies golf.
And why should you hide your femininity to prove that you're independent? I really love golf. I mean, I've been so fortunate to have an incredible career. When I first came over here from Australia, we had a new commissioner and he wanted to kind of use me to be the new image of the LPGA. And so, you know, he said, well, I want to introduce you to some new sponsors and do some photography work to try to get the tour started. And of course, he had quite a few risque photos for me to do, which was fun. And it was really great back then because, you know, you hear about the good old days. We had huge galleries, a lot more than nowadays, but perhaps because there's television now and you've got Golf Channel, so it makes it easy for people to just watch golf and not come out to see it. And we had so many names everybody knew. You know, you had the Lopez and Sheehan, like you said, and Bradley and Daniel and myself. And so there were so many great personalities. We all were so different. I mean, they actually talk about it being one of the best generations for golf. But we were really a family. I mean, we all stay very close. We have a Legends Tour now with the same players, and we're all very close. We talk to each other on the phone and text, and now it's different though because we're always trying to beat each other's brains out back then, whereas now we're really friendly, and we still, of course, we're very competitive. but it's fun. We spend a lot more time socially than we ever did before.
Always good to catch up with Jan Stevenson, as we did recently at Heartfelt National, as Jan recalled what she and others from her era did to help shape the LPGA Tour. Next week here on Inside Golf, a look at the annual Jay Siegel Invitational at Aronimink. We'll be there as Jay continues to hold one of the longest running charity events in the Philadelphia area. Of course, Jay's charity is to raise funds for cancer research at the University of Pennsylvania Hospital. That's it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. See you next week on Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management. Inside Golf, presented by Susquehanna Wealth Management, helping you build, manage, and preserve wealth. By PGN Plus, play your golf bucket list. And by the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf.